thank you everyone to be here today. Pleased to meet you today. So we are talking about the value creation with procurement and healthcare. And yeah, it's my turn to introduce myself. So I am Patrick Rive. I am the Chief Procurement Officer for the Vivalto Group in France, but Vivalto Group, and I will introduce to you Vivalto Group. It's a pan-European healthcare operator. We were a French operator first, for now 15 years in France. In 2022, we doubled of size, achieving more than 100 healthcare facilities all around in Europe, in 4 countries, France, of course, with 50 facilities, and the rest in Spain, in Luciadas, in CIC, and small facilities in Eastern Europe. And so the group is now more than 100 facilities, as I said, more than 20,000 employees, 6,000 doctors, and a turnover of 2.4 billion euros. And 3 years ago, we were only 1.3 billion euros. So we have a quick and significant growth these last 3 years. And our spending represents more or less more than 500 million euros expenditure on medical devices, but also on pharmaceuticals.
Oh, sorry, I'm a bit confused. Yeah, thank you. My name is Dieter Zocher. Thank you for having me. I'm from XMETA. We have a specialized procurement consulting across Europe with about 15, 20 people, depends on. And I have the privilege to support Patrick and his huge Vivalto team. You can imagine which effort it takes. Since 2 years, we're working on this project. We are more or less in the middle of the way, and hopefully we have a lot of efforts in front of us. Yeah. Our approach is we are pan-European operator. We're creating transparency. Maybe I will show you later the huge price gaps. Yeah. We're highlighting the price differences across Europe. Will you later on show some figures? You can't imagine how big are the price gaps for the same products. And then the masterpiece is to bundling volumes and to convince doctors and pharmacists to change products and standardize their operations. We split it a little bit, the presentation. I have the privilege to start first with some introduction slides. I want to I want to bring you on board on the European, let's call European procurement scenery. Yeah? On the left side, on the right side, from your view on the right side, you see a little bit the breakdown by the cost structure, OPEX, operational expenses of a typical European acute care hospital. We have about 45 to 50% personal costs, more or less of the house, depending a little bit on the case mix, what your hospital performing, and then you have the biggest blocks as 10 to 50% medical devices. What are medical devices? Starting from the face mask, ended up to the implant, defibrillator, hip and knees, and so on. This is medical devices. Yeah. Only OPEX, no capital equipment, only OPEX, operational expenses. Then you have pharmaceuticals, 10 to 50%, also depending a lot. If you have a lot of cancer treatments, you know it anyway. And then you have the rest, miscellaneous things, food, laundry, cleaning, maintenance, and so on and so on. Yeah. And yeah, our expertise is on the right part of the cake, of the donut, yeah? Medical device and pharmaceuticals and miscellaneous. Why this? Yeah? These are the only cost blocks who are not really affected by inflation. If you're running today a project on laundry or food, of course, you are affected by inflation. But we are talking about medical devices. I show you some of the typical pieces. This is a hip stem. This is a typical medical device. This is a hip stem. Yeah. Okay, maybe there's a rise of 20% of the steel prices, but okay, it not really matters, right? If this stuff costs 5,000 euros, yeah, and the steel price is maybe 2 euros, something like this. Yeah. And you have the same things for pharmaceuticals. You know it anyway. The production of a pharmaceutical is not that much. It's more than research and development. Yeah. And therefore, this is one of the first findings, or for my opinion, it's an obligation in times like this to CPOs to address the right part of these donuts, right? To address medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and the other things. Yeah? You know, we are living in post-COVID world. That means all the cost blocks are rising. We have shortages on labor costs, so there's no chance maybe to cut costs. Of course, you have to do the efficiency on processes anyway. So, but this is an obligation times like this. This is a little bit setting up the scene. I want to now embark you to the European hospital big landscape. I have this picture on the right-hand side. You see, as a metaphor, the fragmented hospital scenery. On the left side, you see the medical device and pharmaceuticals. We are talking about a market volume in EU about 500 billion euros, 160 billion euros in medical devices, and around 350 billion euros in pharmaceutical. With the steady growth, you can imagine 3, 5, 6, 7%. No matter what crisis we currently have, yeah, this market is growing, growing, growing. You know it better than I. Yeah. This market has three. The characteristic of these markets has three. I call it mismatches. Mismatch number one is, you see the right side. We have a fragmented hospital demand side. Yeah? We have asymmetric knowledge and information. We have more than 95% of the European hospital, I'm talking about acute care hospitals, yeah, are working in only one country. Yeah? They don't, sorry, it's like the frog in the deep well. They only see their environment. Yeah? Hospital business is basically a domestic business. There are a handful of international operators, Vivalto, Ramsay, you know, and so on, Fresenius, Helios, Mediclean, and so on, but not that much. Yeah? On the other side, that means right side, they have no information. They don't see over the fence what's going up in their neighbor country. This is completely different to other industries, to automotive, chemistry, and so on. They have a European, they have a world mark view. Hospitals don't have this. And this is the reason why, for example, we have crazy, unbelievable price caps in medical devices. Again, this is a hip stem you see here. You can put it here. The price, low price country, Sweden, Germany, 300 euros, 500 euros, yeah. France, 2,000 euros at average, yeah. Switzerland, 5,000, 6,000 euros for the exact same device, Even in Switzerland, where we have 3 language areas, yeah, from the German-speaking eastern part to the French-speaking western part, we have huge price gaps. Why? Hospitals are not familiar to work together and exchange knowledge. Yeah? On the other side, on the left side, you have the super concentrated medical industry, super professional. Daily, they have orders, they have the consumption rates on a daily basis. They put on the button and then have the data, and hospitals don't. Yeah? The next mismatch is the fragmented demand side in terms of procurement. 15,000 hospitals, yeah, are working more or less independently. However, if you analyze the products from the north of Norway to the south of Sicilia, 70 to 80% of the products are exactly the same. On the other side, 15 companies, 15, not 50%, 15 big players covers 70, 80% of the market volume. A huge knowledge power, a huge sales power meet a fragmented market. Yeah. Okay, the last mismatch is, and this is crazy, you know it better than I, the asymmetric in profit and loss. On the right-hand side, maybe 70, 80, 90% of the public hospitals are in the red zone, making a loss. And even the private operators, if you're checking private operator margins, I'm talking about acute care, are declining and have been falling for years. On the other side, you have a very, very high profitable industry with, dream margins, 20%, maybe the largest one published. All these guys are stock listed. You can check it, the balance sheet. This is the largest one. They publish an operating profit of 41%. This is the truth. Yeah? And imagine, transfer this picture to other industries, to automotive, to chemistry. Imagine on the right-hand side, you have Mercedes-Benz, BMW. Sorry, I'm coming from Germany for these car examples. Yeah. These are the suppliers. These are, spare parts. On the right-hand side is the knowledge. On the right-hand side are the guys who are producing the good, the health's good. Yeah. Okay, this is a little bit, these are the paradoxes of this market, yeah? Never seen in other markets. And these are a little bit the ingredients to run, to standardize product, getting deep knowledge, and bundle large volumes, and disrupt a little bit this industry. Patrick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dieter. Right, on this basis of what explains us right now, Dieter, the first thing what we thought about cross-fertilization when we acquired the different groups within Europe, so in Spain, Portugal, Switzerland, is to say, okay, we need to first address this subject of procurement, because we used to work all separately altogether, and now how we can cross-fertilization on that subject, and how we can raise a right strategy regarding this, what you explained, on the different price gap in the different countries. Of course, linked to the healthcare system in all the different countries, which are different. And when you create value in one country, you can have lost of value in another country due to this healthcare system. So it was very interesting and passionate to work on that, and how we can harmonize and streamline our procurement strategy for the whole group. So what is PEP? So PEP for Pan-European Procurement Project. It's our global project, the first cross-fertilization project within the Vita Group. It's really key and strategic for us, because that means that, and we hope that will generate significant savings in the next 3 or 4 years. Reviewing all our relationship with our main suppliers, and we have a lot of common suppliers in the 4 countries. So it's very interesting to work on that. It's based on a powerful and consistent strategy. Okay, so and I will explain you how we raise this strategy on structure and program, different, of course, medical devices and pharmaceutical categories. So. And the prerequisite for that, first, is not written then, but I need to say it's to take into account the freedom prescription of our doctors. Doctors are prescribers, so we need to take them and to involve them in this project. Of course, it's prerequisite quality as a service for our patients, very important. So at least the same level of quality of what we are using currently in the different countries. Of course, also our final goal is to have competitive commercial terms, conditions with the suppliers. And but as we are present in whole Europe, so we need also to be sure that our partners will be able to supply and provide products everywhere we are. To support also our medical and paramedical teams, and to be, of course, compliant with the European standards and CSR standards also, again. So you have the breakdown of our different categories. What you can see is that it's not in volumes. This is in spending, in euro spending. So you can see that orthopedics is one of the main one. It's also linked to the activity because this is our first activity in the group, within the group. But it's also linked at the price of the product in this category because we are, as said by Dieter, we have on prosthesis. So prosthesis, it's a very expensive product in France, but also in other countries. Surgery, which is more on sutures, staplers, and so on. Cardiology, where you can find pacemakers, ICDs, stents, and so on, which are also innovating products, more or less, and so very expensive. Ophthalmology with the IOLs and the different custom packs, which is very specific to doctors, and so on and so on. And for pharmaceuticals, you can see that we have a big part, more or less 60% of our spending on monopoly drugs. That means that we are not able really to have any negotiation on that monopoly drugs because it's no competition on that. And this is also for care our patients. So it's very important that we can follow also the market on these drugs. So we are working on that only on 32% of the spending for drugs. Okay, just quickly introducing you what we did for when we start, because we are starting from scratch. We have no, we acquired these three different groups, and then we didn't know each other and so on. So first and you have on the slide quickly these figures, the different travels we did, the different CPOs meeting we organized, the data analysis, which is more than 600,000 lines to collect and analyze in order to get the good idea and the good assumptions of what we are doing, and so on and so on. So you can see that for the 12 first months was a preparation phase to define the strategy, to establish the governance, to align all the teams, collect data and analyze, and so on and so on. So it's and we launch only at the end of the year the first tenders because we have all this period of preparation for that. So it was a really hard, dense activity to do. Yeah, that's also is based on a very strong and also strong and rigorous organization governance, because you cannot launch a project like this if your C-level in all the countries is not aligned with that. So it's very important that everyone within the group is informed, is aligned, and is committed on this project in order to achieve the results we are targeting. So I will go through that quickly, but you have the idea of what we put in place for that. And also we need to, as I said, inform, educate, involve, commit, and so on. So we put in place a lot of tools and processes in order to have everyone on board of this project. And of course, so it's we spend a lot of time also in meetings with the different stakeholders, with the doctors also, and so on, to present, because doctors at the end are the decision makers. So it's very important that they are also on board on that. And at all the level of the group, at the group level, at the territory level, at the country level, at the clinic level. So everyone today, I'm not sure there is only one person not knowing what is PEP project in the Vivalto group today. So it's very important that everyone is informed and on board on that. So just in summary, because I already said that, but what the prerequisite for achieving our goals and achieving and raising a project like this, it's of course to get the good internal governance for that. And I already said it, but what is also crucial, and insist on that, it's the involvement of doctors, because at the end, they are using the product, they are treating the patient, and then so it's very important that they are totally aware and aligned on the strategy. We know also the country regulation and the different SK system. As I said previously, when you create value somewhere, you can destroy value in another country. Just an example, in France, we have we can negotiate rebates on the products. And in another country, because we are reimbursed for the procedure, for treatment, but in another country, in Portugal, for example, they are reimbursed by the different insurance, private insurance, on top. So they invoice the treatment plus a margin for that. And then if they decrease the price of the treatment, of the product, they will have less margin. So we need to be aware of that and to think about it when we negotiate with suppliers. Also, yeah, good information, but you already told that, is that the price of the product are not based on the production costs and the tax in the countries and so on, but much more on the reimbursement system in the different countries. So that's why we have to know that. And the fact that we are now a European group allows us to make benchmark on the different markets to get the real price in the different countries and to see what is the price gap and how we can negotiate things with the suppliers. That's not easy.
But due to the system, it's not based on production costs. That means the industry has different margins in different countries. You must be aware of that. So if you are aware of the different margins, you can better negotiate the prices. So this is what I mentioned earlier. They have in advance of knowledge and pricing, and you must take care of that.
Another key factor is the database and knowing what we consume in all our facilities and what is the different alternative existing in the countries or in other suppliers. And we can have this information only if we are able to collect all the data and to analyze all the data. We spend a lot of time on the data analysis, and now we can say that we are more or less accurate on that, and that we can have really good negotiation with the supplier because we are able to say, okay, guys, in this country, you are not the first. We have also other alternative, and we are already working with them, and so on, so on. So it's very important to get all this data, but it's a long journey because due to the different IT system existing in the country, the data are not homogeneous, and you need to make this great work of harmonization of the data. And it may take up to 6 months to do so.
Okay.
2 minutes, I guess.
Last slide. Oh, give me a second. Oh,
yeah.
To make it short, the industry will play the game with you. They will do it. Because the only way they are thinking grow, 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 grow. But you must be able to show the industry a realistic goal. You must be able to show, okay, we can increase your market share by 10, 20, 50%. This is important. That means you must have a backing from the doctors. Yeah? The CEO, the investor, of course, will love you if you do a good job, right?
I hope so. Yeah. my investors are there, so I need to ask them.
Yeah. Yeah, and as mentioned, in times like this, it's an obligation to cut this cost. Don't get me wrong, to grab the money from the billionaires and do it to the hospitals. You know, hospital business is not that high margin business. And maybe the last thing, yeah, what is achievable, what are the savings, depending a little bit on the country, on the strategy, if you are the one supplier, and so on and so on. But maybe, Patrick, we achieved approximately at average 15 to 20%, and maybe remember 500 million euros is the, and in some cases, of course, you have some crazy price gaps, 40%.
But at the end, you will have this crazy average savings if you are able to implement
it.
Implement it in the clinics with the doctors. Do not forget that at the end, doctors have the right of prescription and the freedom of prescription and decide what they want to implant to the patient. This is their responsibility and their liability.
It's one thing to have it on the paper, and the other thing is the implementation. Okay, we have 20 seconds left, not so bad. And I heard there are some questions arising, right, from the organizer. Is this correct? Yeah? Any question from the audience? Yes. Mic? Do we have a mic?
Please.
Yeah, the mic is coming.
Very, very interesting presentation and impressive results. I think I actually have two questions. I mean, you mentioned it as well. I mean, to get that consolidation will mean that some doctors don't get to use their favorite hip or whatever. I mean, how did you actually convince doctors to accept that? And the second question is, okay, so this was an international group. Would it be possible to do similar things for a hospital which is just working in one country?
Okay, for the first question, we started 1 year and a half ago on ophthalmology. So we made very good negotiation with 3 of the main suppliers we had in the groups. And because others say that we have big market share and we don't want to change things and we will lose margin if we accept your conditions and so on. So we only kept only 3 suppliers on up to I don't know 14 suppliers, something like that. And these suppliers were less than 20% market share, and now they are more than 50% market share 1 year after starting the implementation. How we did that? Only with going to meet doctors, first to onboard clinic managers, pharmacists, OR managers, and so on. Give them the right information, say why we are doing that. And we know that in France we are struggling with financial concerns and healthcare systems issues, and then which do not compensate the inflation and so on. So we are facing with that, and then we explain that to the doctors, and doctors are smart people, clever people, are totally able to understand that, and they are themselves entrepreneurs, so they perfectly understand that. And when you explain that, not all, but part of them understand that, and they know also that we need to keep a capacity to invest in our theaters in order to pay the equipment they need to operate. So also we use this argument and so on, so a lot of argument that we use, and it works, more or less, but it works. And we expect to be at a 70 to 80% market share with these 3 suppliers at the end of this year.
Question number 2. To be honest, this is a dream from a procure's perspective. Why? If you are addressing a sales rep on a national basis, right, in UK, and they say, yeah, in Germany it's a bit cheaper. They say, oh, you can't compare Germany, blah, blah. They're telling fairy tales. And it looks not so good. Your customers here, it's relatively simple. Here, Patrick has the overview of 4 countries, and we know exactly that maybe you can't imagine the price gaps between Portugal and Spain. It's crazy. This is one area, it's Iberia. It's much more easier. So they raise the white flag. So, okay, we know, blah, 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 right?
And the real reason why they want to work with us is because we showed that we are able to onboard doctors. We have what we call the third way, troisième voie in French, which is a specific relationship with doctors because they are part of the governance. They are shareholder of the group and they are part of the governance. And then when we show that we are able to onboard doctors, they say, okay, we can imagine working with you because we know that our market shares and volumes will increase because you are we are doing the job at our place. See what I mean? You are making the sales rep job at our place. So it's working also like this. So if you are not able to commit your doctors and to engage your doctors on volumes and market share, they will never follow.
And of course, it works also on a domestic basis, right? It's even harder. It's anyway hard. It's nothing is easy because you have a mighty opponent. The industry are strong guys and smart guys. But it works, right? Not so easy, but also. Before we stop, sorry, I must introduce you. Vasily, come on, please, is our special guest from the European Innovation Council. Please give.
One more question.
Sorry, no, sorry. Come on, Vasily, come anyway. Come on. Yeah? Yes? Sorry.
You're okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so we say thank you. I hand over to Vasily. He's from the European Innovation Council. I want to take the opportunity to bring him on the stage. He wants to make a bit of promotion for his session tomorrow, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Vasilis Tzanidis. I work for the European Commission.
I work on procurement of innovation. And here, I was surprised to hear all this about this approach. First of all, how important procurement, and I'm really thrilled to hear that procurement is part of a discussion in a health business event. So it's not easy to find that. So it's really a step forward. Really, it is important to see that procurement has become a strategic tool in the hands of buyers that actually achieve to cut costs through a very smart move, the creation of economies of scale. And this is really important. But this is one part. And there is also another part, and how, imagine if you would be in a position to use this purchasing power that you have in your hands as procurers to modernize your services with cutting-edge technologies, to buy innovation. So imagine to use this strategic tool to provide to your citizens, to your clients, top-notch innovators, top services with top-notch innovations. Tomorrow at EIC, the EIC is organizing a matchmaking between some SMEs, innovative SMEs, and 3 buyers on the stage. You have the opportunity to see with your own eyes how innovation procurement is being done on the ground. So I invite you all to join us tomorrow at 10 o'clock, room Baobab, yes, and and to combine procurement to cut costs with procurement to buy innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for this promotion. You see, even more interesting presentation tomorrow. Thank you very much for your...
Bye.